I quit everything because I was tired, and I think you should too. If you're new here, my name is Tega Abiri, and I'm documenting my journey to living a productive life and doing it in the most efficient way as possible. Like title and thumbnail says, um, I did quit everything, and it seems like the reason why I did so was because I was tired. This is really like, or this is unlike all my other videos because it's not structured. I'm really just going to be ranting on here and saying the things that are on my mind for documentation purposes. So I was doing a reflection on my 2024 some days ago, and I was just asking myself some questions and remembering and reviewing and journaling the things that I was writing. All right, and I came to a striking conclusion that some of the things that I had started, you know, this year, even the year before, or sometime, later in the year, all of a sudden I had like stopped them, I had quit them, right? I really had no interest going forward with them, and I began to get worried, genuinely, like, what exactly is this, right? Is the reason for this because, I find out about something new, is it shiny object syndrome, basically, where you're always moving and jumping from one thing to the other simply because, it looks better, it's shinier and all the rest, basically, right? And I genuinely struggled with that, thinking about that, beating myself up about it and all the rest. So I would explain the things that I quit, all right, and then the reasons why and why I think genuinely you should. Because later on, when I started to think of it even more deeply, I realized that it wasn't such a bad thing that I left these things. It wasn't such a bad thing that I, took another turn. So the four things, basically, the first thing is DTA Math. It was a company that I had started. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I mentioned this at some point. I think I made a video about this whether last year or 2 years ago, about how I made, well, was it 200,000? I can't remember, right, in a month and all the rest. I launched my tutorial company in the month of May, and in the first month of launch, we made exactly 159,490 naira. So it's been a company that I had been working on for about 2-3 years now. There's been a transition. I'm not going to go in full detail about what the company was about. You could just watch that video, right? But um recently I got tired, basically, right? And I started thinking, is this really something that I want to do long term? Because one thing that I started to do as the year began to round off, or towards the end of the year, I don't know if it was because the year was rounding off or it's just like something that I've started doing more often, is looking at all the current things that I'm doing and trying to see, one, if they're scalable and still under the scalability, if it's something that I really want to do long term, right? And for most of them, if it's not something I want to do long term, I'm usually very, should I do this, should I leave it alone, and all these type of things, basically. So I started thinking of it. It was a math tutorial company. We're helping secondary school students get better at math through online courses, right? So it's similar to Apex, but for secondary school students, and I'm the one that basically creates the courses myself, or I hire people to do that. Basically, the course creation and all of that is under my control. But I started thinking of a number of reasons why I didn't want to do it any longer. So the way I used to onboard clients would be to have sales calls with them. All right. So there's a funnel, right? So from my Facebook page or my Instagram page, we capture the leads from there. They send us a message on WhatsApp. We give them a workshop or a webinar to watch. From that webinar, they direct them back to us on WhatsApp, where we get on a sales call and all the rest, and tell them why I think they should buy, and how it can help them, and all basic sales stuff, right? And we'll close them. And I was thinking, is that something that I want to do? Okay, so if I want to onboard more clients, if I want to get more parents to purchase our stuff, am I going to do this every single time? Right? Am I going to continue having sales calls? Right now it might be easy if I'm having 2 sales calls per week, 3 sales calls, 5 sales calls per week, right? But then when that increases, when we put more money into Facebook marketing, right? When we start getting more eyes on our stuff, am I going to continue this? Okay, if I'm not going to continue this, what other, methods are there? And I thought of them, like, how effective would this be, and all these type of things basically. And really, is this the space that I want to? Because another issue that I had with DTA was the course creation, right? So someone bought our course, a parent bought our course, gave it to her daughter to watch and everything, and her daughter came back and said that, oh, the things that she's seen on the course, she has done them before, right? And it wasn't so far-fetched. I was a bit shocked, but it wasn't so far-fetched, because when I was in secondary school, I used to hear of schools like that would go further than the syllabus, just to have that prestige. I don't know what the reason was, right? So, okay, if we have people like that, what exactly is that going to mean? Are we going to tailor a course for her? Because the way the platform is it's like every platform basically. If you change something on the course side of things, it's going to change for everyone, right? And we can't have that, because if we take from the following term and put it in this term that they are currently in to accommodate that lady, when that new term comes, what exactly is going to happen? So it was a lot of these things, and it was difficult to get access to the scheme of work because it's not on Google apparently. So we either have to look for someone in secondary school and ask them out. It was stressful. Then if the syllabus changes, we have to change our whole, like it's a whole lot basically, coupled with the fact that it takes time to create these courses, and I'm just thinking, like, this business model, is it really something that I want to do long term? I don't think so. I really do. Maybe the idea is good. Maybe if I sat down with it, I don't know, but it wasn't something that I was really eager to put my mind to, right? So all of a sudden I woke up, thought of all of these things. I spoke to my friend, and she agreed with it. Spoke to some other people, and that was it basically. I just said, nah, that's it. I'm not doing this any longer. I can't be having sales calls with people. That's not really, even if I want to train people on that, hire people to do that, I'd have to train them. All right. And that would take a while. I would first have to record I always recorded my sales calls. I would have to train these guys, train them, then they'll probably have to make some mistakes, along the way when they are eventually putting it to practice. Nah, I was not ready. Basically, it wasn't something I was interested in doing. So I let it go. Right, and that was like the first thing. This is something that I've been working on for a couple of years, like 2 years, maybe 3 years. Then I'm just letting it go like that. How? I remember there was a peak period where I grew. This is a rant type video. I'm like, I might spend, like, I'm not even really caring about, I'm already at 8 minutes or 10 minutes. I'm not really caring about, retention, watch time. Like, it's really just for me, so I can come back, later on, right? I remember one time, during the summer, I said I was going to go full on with the social media part of, DTA and everything. And what I did was I was creating content, and I saw our Instagram page go from like 20 followers to about 100 or 200, was it, right? In about like 2 weeks. I was like, okay. And I wasn't paying for marketing. I was like, it's nice. So I was thinking about all of these things, the effort that I have put in. I assembled a team at some point, had a general manager, had a graphics designer, had a social media manager, and assembled a team, at some point, and we're just going, and it seemed like it was good. I've hired like 4 or 5 people to create these courses. They've created, some of these courses already, but it's not really something that I want to do, right? It's not what really gives me energy, right? And I think that's one of the reasons I just decided to stop. And coupled with the fact that I was already building another company, and if you want to find out more about that, I would link it up, right? One of my highest videos, right? Building a startup in Nigeria. So I'm building that. And funny enough, I spoke to a friend earlier during the summer, right? And he said that he personally believes that eventually I would have to choose one. And at the time, I didn't want to listen, right? Somewhere in my mind, I knew what he was saying was correct. And I'm not saying you can't build multiple businesses at the same time, like, far from that, right? Right now I'm building Apex and I'm building my personal brand. These are 2 hefty things. So that's not what I'm saying. But I think the fact that I have put in so much into it, I've put in way more in DTA than I've put in Apex, right? But the fact that I've put in so much, would I just let it go like that? But it wasn't giving me energy. I wasn't interested. I had some goals that I needed to accomplish for DTA, and I wasn't even interested in doing anything. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks had passed, and I wasn't even putting effort into that. So it was something that I just had to let go. Basically, I'm looking at my journal now because that was where I wrote it. Now, this second one is crazy, right? So I'm still in uni, um, in 300 level, right? And I'm studying computer science. This is crazy. What I'm about to say, right? So I quit programming. Like I've stopped coding. I've stopped writing code. Um, my journey, it's not something that I have been that public with. Well, initially I was very public with it. On Twitter, X, whatever. I was very public with it. I was posting like I was coding every single day. I think I did that for 50 days. I took a course on Udemy, 100 Days of Code by Angela Yu, and I was learning Python. Really good course, by the way, if you want to get into programming. Really good course. Like I took the course and I was coding. I was posting that on my X page every single day, or maybe every other day, basically, right? So I did that. I really liked Python. I don't know whether it was because it was, it's a beginner friendly program, but I really liked it. I went a little bit in depth in it. Then I had to stop that because of my internship, because I couldn't get, the peculiarities of getting my internship was a bit difficult because I don't live in Nigeria during the holidays, right? So I stay in the UK. So it was a bit difficult to get somewhere that was offering Python, right? And I had to do it remotely because I was not going to be in Nigeria. So I had to I found an internship placement here in the UK, but what the company does is deals with, blockchain infrastructure and all the rest. So I was like, okay, so since they don't offer Python services, why don't I start learning blockchain, right? Learning how to write smart contracts with Solidity. So that's what I did. Started learning Solidity. I got a course. That's usually one of my first things to do, right? I was learning like a free bit on YouTube, but I was not understanding anything, right? So I bought a course and it was explanatory, right? So I did that, had my IT defense, was really good. So I said, okay, I'm going to continue learning Solidity to see how it goes, right? Since at least Python is, a very popular language. Maybe I'll just stick with Solidity since not many people program in that, and the job opportunities would be, a lot, and once in a while, my friend would ask me, okay, do you see yourself like coding or programming, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And my remarks were always very negative. God forbid. I cannot. Like, I would always see things like this, right? I can't, but I was very open to getting a job in programming. In fact, that was the goal, to learn, work on projects and start applying for jobs, or start reaching out to people that I wanted to build stuff for them. So that was like the goal, right? But it was sort of like a 2-year, 3-year goal, right? After like 4 or 5 years, right, max, I didn't want to program again. It's not like I hated it or anything, but who said it? I think it was Socrates. I'll put it up on the screen. I can't remember, but I think it was Socrates. Man, know thyself. And I think it's extremely important that, or was it Aristotle? One philosopher, man, know thyself. And it's extremely important that we do know our capabilities, our strengths, our weaknesses, and all the rest. Maybe like a SWOT analysis. So it's extremely important, right? Because the fact that I know myself, I know the things that I think, I know my mind, I know how I operate. I know how I operate and all the rest. I know I can learn how to code and I will do it, very well, right? But of the fact that I don't even want to do it for 4 years, 5 years, right? It already goes to show that's not something I'm passionate about. Like, really, I'm only doing it because I'm not averse to getting a job. Like, I'm really not averse to like getting a job. No, I can't get a 9 to 5. I cannot. You mess with my creativity and my productivity, but I'm not averse to getting a job. Like, I don't mind working under anyone, because I understand that whilst the end goal is to eventually like be an entrepreneur, be my own boss, all these things, right? But I know that it can be fuel for other things that you want to do, right? So you want to build a business, you would have to spend money, right? If you're not building the website by yourself, which maybe you should not, right? Because you're a founder and CEO and you want to focus your time on other things. So you're not doing that by yourself. Okay, you have to pay someone. You don't want to handle the social media by yourself and all the consistent posting. You hire someone. So there's just a lot of resources that can go into that. And if you have something, you have like a job, you have where you're working, whether part-time or full-time. Basically, you have a source of income coming in. It's easier to fund all of these things. It's easier to, like accelerate the process and eventually like break out of, like the job market if that's something that you wanted to do. Right. So I'm not averse to it. But remember how I started, that I wanted to do things that I was passionate about, things that I could do in the long term, in the long run, right? Things that, okay, is this something that I want to do 4 years from now, 5 years, 6 years from now, right? And if the answer is no, maybe I want to stop doing that if I can, right? So it was a really big decision. This is one of the biggest decisions I made this year, right? In terms of like turning point, because I'm a computer science student, right? Genuinely, there are a number of people that have started programming simply because I took Angela use course and I was posting it consistently on my Twitter. I'm not even joking, right? In fact, all out of nowhere, right? Earlier this year, in fact, in my school, I was nominated for Tech Personality of the Year. I didn't win, right? But I was nominated, and I didn't ask people to nominate me. I didn't even, when I saw the category, it didn't even occur to me that people would think, I didn't think of myself, as like a tech personality. When I saw my name, I was even trying to think what could have made people, because I don't talk about tech on my YouTube, right? So what exactly could have made people, nominate me for this? And I was like, oh, okay, I used to post stuff on Twitter. Oh, that's true, right? And a number of people started, people have bought that exact same course, have asked me questions on the course. I'm not even joking, right? So what would all these people think, right? I'm sort of like a public figure in my school, right? Okay, well, what are these guys going to think? From that science student, I was not cool. Hey, right? So I was just thinking of a number of things, right? And in fact, what even brought it up, I can't remember what made me think of it. Maybe it was the Holy Spirit. I genuinely can't remember at this point, right? And it wasn't so long ago. Project management just sort of like started making sense to me, right? Like it genuinely just started making sense to me. When I mean making sense, I mean like I started to see it more, right? And when I decided to do a little bit of study into it, oh my god, it looked like exactly like it's like a job that was created for me, because it's something that I've always struggled with. Like, what job on the planet fits the kind of person that I am, right? And by job, I mean like actual job. I don't mean what career, I mean like job, like working for someone. Like if you were to tailor a CV, right? What exactly would fit me, right? Social media management would not, because I don't like posting. I just like talking, right? That's what I like to do. I like to talk. I don't like to edit my videos. I don't like to post. I don't like to come up with descriptions. I just like to talk, right? So what exactly could fit me? And I think that's where it came from. That's where it came from. Project management. Okay, these are the kind of things that I like to do. I'm fascinated and obsessed with the idea of initiation, planning, and execution. I love it so much, right? I believe that just being very conversant with these three things that I just mentioned will change your life, right? That you're not always stuck in the ideation stage. I thought of the workshop that I mentioned in my last video was really good, right? So I thought of it 2 weeks before I started it, right? It took a lot of work because I had to pay for certain things. I had to switch my whole newsletter bit. By the way, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, please do that. So I had to change my whole newsletter bit. Like we moved from MailChimp, no, from Substack to ConvertKit, because there was something I wanted to do with like an automation, and Substack didn't have the API and all the rest. So I had to do that, right? I had to pay money for like a domain, because I had to pay for the premium for Google Meet, because I was expecting more than 100 people. We got more than 100 people, right? And I was expecting the meeting to last over an hour. We did 4 hours, right? So it was something that I thought of. I was talking to a friend and the idea came, boom, executed it almost immediately, right? I thought of building a website, boom, got people to help me. Like, it's just how I am, right? I don't like the concept of planning forever. And if you know me, I plan a lot. Like, I'm so big on that. But I finally found something that fits, whether my aesthetic or fits what God designed me to do, right? To oversee projects, to plan, and to get things, from A to B. I was like, nah, this is it, right? And I didn't want to obviously focus on programming and project management. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to choose one, right? And I chose the latter, and it just made sense to me. It just fit, So even if, so now, I don't think I'm going to be working a job, for up to like 10 years. I really don't. But if I was to do that, would I be okay doing project management? Absolutely. Of course, there'll be industries, right, that will be, really, really interested to working. But at the end of the day, it's something that I can really do long term. I might not do it long term, but it's something that I could if I needed to, and I would be really happy. I'd be okay. One thing that I don't want to do is finish from uni and start working a job that I'm not interested. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm a very spontaneous person. If I'm not doing the things that I love, then it usually affects my mind and affects the effort that I'm putting in, right? So it's a huge factor that I consider when choosing certain things. What's the energy that it gives me? And programming genuinely was not giving me that energy at all. It really wasn't, right? In fact, that, like I mentioned in the last video, last video, that I'm almost done with the project management course, and like, it's taking me a while to finish a programming course, not because of the difficulty, because I think I'm smart, so it's not because of difficulty, right? Just, there's no energy, right? No energy. The only energy that is coming is, okay, these guys actually earn a lot if you can get a really good job, but money can be the only thing that drives me. It really is not the only thing that drives me. I must love the work that I'm doing, right? You hear people say, do the things that you're passionate about. I can't remember his name now, but I was listening to someone, and he was basically talking about doing things that give you high energy, and that's the idea, basically. Something that I can wake up, and think about, and all the rest. So that's the reason why I switched from, programming. So how am I going to pass my exams? Well, I'll just be doing like the basic stuff. So in school now, we're learning Java, and it's another thing that used to frustrate me. It's one that frustrates me with this course. I'm taking a little bit of a detour that frustrates me with the course. Like, okay, I decided that I want to be proficient with Python, right? When 100 level, we're doing C#, right? In 200 level, we're doing Python. In 300 level, we're doing Java. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I know, of course, like with programming, syntax is generally the same or very similar and all the rest, but it used to frustrate me, right? Why can't it just be that we have different segments, all right, and we choose, just like science, commercial, and art, and we choose, and we'll just do that through and actually like become really good at it. Because if we're doing programming courses per semester, then we're never actually going to get proficient at it. And I know that's not the idea. The idea is to introduce it, but I feel the other route would make sense. Because when I'm like learning other programming language, sometimes I have to pause what I'm doing so I can like actually like take that in, and I don't mix them up, right? So it's just frustrating. So I'm done. My hands are out, right? And I'm really just glad that project management is also like a tech. At least we do a course in school. I mean, it's course title, but I know it has something to do with project management. Right? So and I'm glad, because my internship would have suffered for it. So that's that. Then the third thing that I quit is school, but not like really. Yeah, I didn't drop out of school. Please, I can't. I go to a Nigerian school. I have Nigerian parents, so that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I really lost interest in it. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I was no longer interested. My 100 level, my 200 level. I was really interested. I would go for classes. There were some classes that I genuinely did not used to go for, but I would go for classes like in general. And my CGPA was good. It's still good because cumulative, but all of a sudden in 300 level, when I started to gain clarity on the things that I'm going to do, especially the things that I'm going to be doing once I'm done with school, and of course I'm a big believer in foresight. I'm a big believer in looking at where you want to be and planning for that from now. So once it started to become really, really clear, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to focus on for the long term, right? I started doing that, and I gave my all. I'm not joking. I gave my all to it, right? I can do 5 hours of deep work sessions in a day, focusing on my work, the things that I love to do, right? And again, it's just another testament to the fact of if you do high energy stuff, then it's easier to put in your best, basically, right? So my class attendance started to go down from nowhere, right? I began to like miss some tests. they say a test is coming up and I would not be prepared for it. I would not even feel like reading and all this type of things, right? The energy genuinely started to go down because I was focusing on other things, and I started to think, okay, what exactly is the point? Like, really, what exactly is the point of all of this? Like, why? Why? Like, okay, isn't the point of school, right? I mean, like academics, not school generally, because people will say, oh, don't pass through school, let's go pass through here, there, yeah, right? I mean, like academics now. Isn't the point, at least, except I'm wrong, right? Like you gain the degree and you get the job. Like I really don't see any other point, right? In that. Okay, the point is to gain knowledge. Okay, what's the knowledge for? It's knowledge not to apply it to the real world. Okay, yes. But what if I say that that's not the knowledge I want to apply? I don't want to apply computer science as a knowledge. But what if I say that? I've genuinely found what I want to do outside of school, and it's outside of what I'm learning. The course so all of these things were things that I told myself, and I promise you, it's not laziness that is affecting me. It's not even time, right? I'm very big on productivity and time management and all the rest. So it's not that. It's that I didn't have any interest to fit it into my schedule, or fit my reading time, or fit going for classes and all these type of things, right? So but I recently spoke to two people, and the conclusion basically was that if you can, why not, right? So there's something that I'm looking to get back into, like to be more interested in, and I added that as a caveat so you will not think that I'm unserious, but something that I'm looking to like get back in, because I'm 300. I mean, I've done it for 2 years. Like, why not just must start and just finish up and try and finish well, right? I'm still on the first class, by God's grace. I want to graduate with that because my mom wants me to. I want to as well, Sha. But just try. No energy, but just try. And that's another caveat. Like, you really can't only do things that are high energy. Like, you really can't, right? So for me, for example, texting is not high energy. Like, I don't like WhatsApp. I don't like social media generally. But and I want to be my personal brand on here. Something that's a conundrum in my head. But I don't like, it takes time for me to respond to people. I don't like social media. I can go to Instagram like once or twice in 2 weeks. But if I say that I love the people that I love, it means that one thing I have to check up on them, I have to call them, right? So you can't really only do things that are high energy. So I think you have to find a way to either make it high energy or just force yourself, right? It's still something that I'm trying to like think on and work on and come up with like a better system. But like that's it basically. Just try and finish up well. So that's that with school. And then the final was like a 12-week year plan that I had like a 3-month goal. I think it was October, November, December, or November, December, January, something like that. And I just stopped it. But the main reason why I stopped that was because of the other things that I mentioned. So DTA, I'm looking at my journal, by the way. So DTA was part of my goals, so I stopped that. Programming was also part of my goals, so I stopped that, right? Then, so I thought of these things, right? Okay, I've already changed these goals a number of times. Like DTA, I removed it. So what I replaced DTA with was to get a 5.0 in school. Only that I now realized I was no longer interested in all of that. So I removed that one as well. So whether I replaced programming with project management, but then now it's no longer a 3-month goal because I removed programming probably at the 5th or the 6th week. Okay. So I just stopped that, and it was when I told my friend, like my accountability partner, I'm stopping the 12-week year, right? I'm not doing the 12-week year again. And she was like, why? And that was when it like hit me that I've been quitting a lot. And the videos are already getting too long. Let me see if I can round off. So what exactly is take home? So that's what I was thinking, right? I've been quitting a lot of things lately. But then when I started to look for the reason sort of like made sense to me. The reason, what's common between all of them, all right? For school, I'm getting back interested in it because, really, why not? But what's common between all of them is I didn't have the energy any longer for that. By energy, I don't mean strength. I mean, it was not something that was exciting to me any longer. And it's not shiny object syndrome. It's initially when I picked up these things, I didn't look at the long term. I didn't think of what exactly would I like to do with these things Is this something that I'll be comfortable doing 4 years from now, 5 years from now? Is something that I feel I can lose interest in, right? I didn't ask myself all these questions. I got an idea, I just went through with it, right? No feasibility study whatsoever. So it's something that I'm looking into now before I take on any task, before I apply for any role, before I, run for a position in school or wherever. Am I actually passionate about it? It's something that I want to do for the long term. It's something that I'm willing to give my all to, right? And if the answer is tilting towards the negative side, then count me out. So that's really all I have to share, right? It was a really, really long video. I don't think I've had a video as one long as this and as straight as this. But yeah, that's that. I started a newsletter. I'll be dropping my ideas on there. All right. The link will be in the description. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. And also, I think a video that you can watch after this, especially if you want to manage your life, find out the things that you ought to do, right? Sort out your time and everything, basically, is the ideal method, right? It's a video that I created. I planned my whole life on there, and I showed you how to do the same thing as yours. It will help you manage your time, and hopefully give you the opportunity to use your energy wisely. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.